And good evening once again. It is the TFM Live Podcast brought to you by the FullMountMMA.com. I'm Sean Stanley, as always, joined by the hostess with the mostest, Brian Coyle. How you doing, sir?
I wouldn't consider myself the hostess with the mostest, or the host with the most, for that matter. But I've got some stuff to talk about.
I probably should have said hostess. I apologize for that.
Nah, it's not offensive either way. But here's what's pretty offensive. The way Holly Holm's career is kind of going down the drain right now is a draw. Like, this is kind of interesting, Sean. UFC Chicago, Valentina Shevchenko runs circles around her in a pretty fun night of fights in the Windy City. And this is something that we'll get to a little bit later on in the show with a special guest that will be joining us in about 15 minutes or so. But this take I've starting to see go around. Holly Holm loses to Valentina Shevchenko, shoving Bantamweight into even more chaotic features than I've ever seen before. Like, what's going on here in this women's Bantamweight division? We did a 3 and Out on it. If you've never heard of us, the FullMountMMA.com, you can check out. We did a whole big feature on it. Sean, what do you think of, number one, Holly Holm's loss to Valentina Shevchenko, who looked really good on Saturday night, and number two, this women's bantamweight division that literally everyone's beating each other and we don't know what the heck's going on?
I think it's perfect for the UFC right now as far as the chaos, as we call it, in the bantamweight women's division here, because it makes it watchable. It makes every fight must-see, especially a championship fight, because this time last year, I said it in the 3 and Out, is what anybody said, Nunes as the heavyweight champion in the women's bantamweight division. And it's made it must-see to watch these fights. And, like you said, we're going to have a special guest on. We're going to talk about Holly Holm a little more in depth. But, hey, I guess she made the most of her opportunity.
Yeah, this is a weird situation now. And we share differing opinions on this as far as if it's good for the division or not. But in a 5-round decision win, Holly Holm looked like the fighter that she was before Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Someone that kind of was afraid to mix it up and tried to stay far away and box with people. And she didn't utilize all of her skills that we saw in that Ronda Rousey fight, because she was a world beater when she literally shocked the world in Australia. And now she's lost 2 straight, and the sky isn't exactly falling. But this woman, who was supposed to be one of the UFC's biggest draws, not only has lost the opportunity to Ronda Rousey rematch, we think at this point, but she just headlined a great card in Chicago on Big Fox that did great ratings, but she keeps losing, and that's never good for your drawing power. Of course, when she came in, she beat Raquel Pennington in something that wasn't exactly the most riveting fight. It was a split decision win.
Yeah, her first 2 fights were just blah.
Marion Reneau, it was kind of Then she goes out and beats Rousey out of nowhere. Like, there was a reason why nobody thought Rousey would get beaten by Holm, because she just wasn't ready yet. Then everything came together. Then she goes out, fights Miesha Tate, and stays away, and was winning the fight because Tate was having not the best night in the world until she came out and got that 5th-round stoppage. And then she did not look good at all against Shevchenko. This is got to be a discouraging pattern.
No, yeah, but she looked lost in that fight. She looked like she didn't know what to do.
Yeah, and that's not what you want out of someone that you tried to build this division around. It's, like we mentioned, it's a chaotic division, and we did a 3 and Out that you can find on the FullMountMMA.com, like I mentioned. If you've never heard of us before, if you're just tuning in to SportsOvertime.com, if you found us on iTunes or YouTube by chance, we cover all the latest in the UFC and the mixed martial arts. You can find us online. We have a website where we do feature articles and talk about the latest news and all that good stuff on the FullMountMMA.com. On Twitter, at the FullMountMMA, at BCoyle11. For me, at SS Sports Talk. For Sean, if you guys want to interact with the show at any time while you're listening, or send us questions for our podcast and all that. And one of the questions that was faced with us this week, chaos at women's bantamweight, good or bad? You say good because it makes every fight watchable. It makes it like it's kind of that anything can happen kind of mantra.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the UFC right now with these title fights, you don't. It's no longer okay. The champion's going to keep his belt. I mean, look at what has transpired in these championship fights. Bisping's a champion. Nunes is a champion. I mean, everybody's getting championship belts. It's like an Oprah.
Yeah, but here's the thing. When everyone gets a championship belt, what do the belts mean? What are these titles supposed to feel like?
Yeah, but see, that's where I think you're wrong with this, with the UFC, because you're fighting for it. It's not like it's not like, I know we do this all the time. It's not like WWE where if ever the title changed hands every pay-per-view, it would diminish the belt. I think with this, you're fighting for the belt. So it's not like you're just being handed a belt.
No, yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from with that, but people loved Ronda Rousey because what? She was undefeated. She beat literally everybody. She had this personality, I don't want to say arrogant, but she had this swag about her. And you saw this with champions Anderson Silva when he won all the time. George St. Pierre. Guys like this, people get drawn to larger-than-life personalities, champions that retain their belt and keep consistency. The only guy that struggled with this is Demetrius Johnson. For some godforsaken reason, nobody watches his fights, which I can't understand because he's the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world today.
I think that's the little guy syndrome. That's why nobody wants to watch him.
But when you look at 135 here in the women's division, I wrote it here. Holm beat Rousey. Rousey beat Tate twice. Tate beat Holm. Kat Zingano has beaten Amanda Nunes and Miesha Tate. Nunes beat Tate. Nunes beat Valentina Shevchenko. Shevchenko just beat Holm. Pena just beat Zingano. I don't know where to organize everybody in this kind of list of number one contenders because everyone's beating each other.
Isn't that what makes it so good?
But the problem being is, who are you going to push? Who are you going to make your main draw?
Make the division the draw. The whole division the draw. Oh my goodness. There's a new concept.
That's the angle that could work in theory. The problem is, I don't know if it will work.
I just don't think you have that champion anymore in most of the divisions right now. Other than Johnson, who do you have as a champion that you would want to build? I mean, McGregor's not going probably back to 145. I won't say never, but more than likely, I don't see him going all the way back down to 145. That would probably be one of the only title holders you may, but then when he gets back down to 145, I mean, you got Aldo waiting for him. I don't think it's going to be the same fight, Aldo McGregor this time.
Yeah, I mean, when you go up and down, I mean, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, that's a pretty entertaining division if I do say so myself.
No, yeah, but again, she kind of stands head and shoulders. She's kind of going to have, I think, the Mighty Mouse Johnson syndrome there.
Where she's just dominating everyone else.
Yeah, she's kind of outclassing everybody else, Maybe somebody's going to come in and beat her, and then that'll take that off. But, I mean, she just looks – because, I mean, everybody was like, oh, this is the fight where she's going to lose it. And she looked more dominant in that fight than most fights she's had.
So, it's a matter of if you can market the division as a whole, like an anything can happen sort of scenario, I get where you're coming from. But from a star-making scenario – this is the worst nightmare for the UFC because you don't know what to put your marketing, you don't know who to put your money behind, for lack of a better word. Because, to me, if you want to create these big stars, they have to go out and deliver. They have to go out and win a couple bouts.
Yeah, but I guess my problem is, if you're the UFC and you say no fighters bigger than the UFC, why are you doing that stance then?
Well, that's the thing here. I mean, the old regime now the Fertittas supposedly had said that. Now, do we all know that the fighters make the UFC, not the UFC makes the fighters? I mean, they're given the platform, but Conor McGregor is only Conor McGregor because of what he did, and he was given the platform by the UFC, so it's a give and take.
Well, no, yeah, they're given something. Look, they cracked the door. You got to kick the door down.
Yeah, and I don't know. Just for me, I feel like if they want a TV draw, if they want these big time fighters, there needs to be if let me take this analogy for example. The NBA has never been healthier. How many teams can win the NBA title? 3?
3, maybe 4.
Maybe 4. If the league was complete,
depends if you ask Derrick Rose.
Yeah, if you look at the league previous, like before these super teams, you had all this parity, but the ratings weren't as good. But now you have these superstar teams, and the ratings are through the roof, but there's not as much parity. So it just seems like more eyes get drawn to individual stars rather than the actual division itself. And we'll see how this all kind of shakes out. But for me, Holm losing was a bad thing for the division. Not a great thing. But now Valentina Shevchenko, who's looked very good in all of her fights so far in the UFC. I mean, that Nunes loss, we talked about it more when that happened, as the Nunes wasn't as impressive as we thought. But we have to give Shevchenko probably more credit there for the way she fought in that bout. And now she's got a victory over Holly Holm in the main event of a UFC on Fox card that at one point apparently drew 4 million people watching it. So it's something to monitor, but like, what are your thoughts on Shevchenko? Where does she fit into all this?
No, I mean, again, this is where I don't know if they go wrong putting, I mean, I understand what you're saying where there's no way where you can sit there and go, okay, she deserves the next fight because of all the disparity. But then again, that's to me, that's what, because like Shevchenko could jump in and be the next fight.
Yeah, it's not unheard of.
You know, I mean, so to me, it makes it just that much more of a perfect storm for that division right now, especially when you don't have that dominant Rousey or something like that. This is what they needed. I don't think Holm sitting on the top, or maybe Tate is a little different, but Holm sitting on top with the belt, just keeping on winning, I don't know it would help the division thrive. This is going to help the division thrive, possibly flourish without Rousey.
Well, we shall see what the next move is for the women's bantamweight division. Could it be Rousey's return fight against Amanda Nunes? Is Amanda Nunes, will she defend the belt before then? Because all eyes are pointed towards that November card at Madison Square Garden in New York City. I will be there, so that's the kind of angle that they're pushing at this point. If not, I expect that title to be defended sooner rather than later.